Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So Canada's an interesting place. Did you hear that there erupted a fight in Canadian Parliament a couple years ago that was over the use of the word fart in an official capacity? Like that they actually fought about this? Did you catch this?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Yep. Canada's an interesting spot. I think Americans dream about a time where the most divisive issue that comes up through the American governmental process is a disagreement over a hilarious word for flatulence. But the latest in the world of Canadian politics is that there's actually been an official statement issued. The Canadian government has issued an official statement saying that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is not the love child of Fidel Castro. This is a thing. There's been a statement. We'll get into the full and fascinating story a little later on. But I can't really start the show without telling you how enwrapped I've become in this Elizabeth Swaney woman. We were talking about her on the show yesterday. Do you remember this? She's the one who gamed her way into the Olympics.
Yes, she's the one that's not really a skier, but is competing in the Olympics as a skier, right?
She's not a world-class skier, and she's not even good by regular standards. But like, in case you missed it, an American named Elizabeth Swaney competed in the Olympics by totally gaming the system. Like I said, not a world-class skier, not even good by regular standards, but she made it in by competing in a sport where there aren't enough competitors to fill out the field. She's American, but she competed for Hungary because her grandparents are Hungarian, and that made her eligible. She also had to finish in the top 30 in a handful of World Cup events, and she did it by signing up for obscure events that were put on at times when all the world's best skiers were competing in other places. So, I mean, if you miss it, this is her half pipe run, and she, like I said, completely gamed the system, because here are the announcers, oblivious to the gag that she's pulled on the entirety of the world, really trying to take it seriously when she's basically snowplowing through a half pipe.
Elizabeth Swaney from Hungary, out of Oakland, California now, 34th in the World Cup.
34th.
13th in the half pipe at Secret Garden earlier in the year. What can she deliver on here in Pyeongchang?
Liz Swaney dropping in, trying to get into this right wall for a nice, just getting up to the top of the wall.
And it's basically an entire half pipe run of her sort of dropping in. Like, to be fair, it doesn't look like the easiest thing in the world, but at the same time, it's basically her just kind of making it through the half pipe. Like, there's almost no elevation to what she's doing. She's not exactly getting what you would call air. But, like, I'm fascinated by this person. Like, what sort of person does this? So I've been digging around, and I think I've found out what sort of person does this. She's she's sort of what you might expect someone who gamed the Olympics might be. And Travis, you said you wanted to marry this woman.
I think I do.
I think we might have found the one for you. And by the way, not bad to look at. Like, I got to tell you. And she's clearly super smart. She went to Harvard. She graduated from the University of California at Berkeley. She ran for governor as an undergrad and lost to Arnold Schwarzenegger. She's got a master's degree in design studies with a concentration in real estate from Harvard. And now she's got a master's degree from Harvard. And now she recruits software engineers in the Bay Area. Travis, this is the yin to your yang. Like, look at all these different qualifications she's got. You're a person who's a cop, a tugboat operator, an able seaman. You're a cop diver. You're a train conductor. Listen to her list of qualifications. She's got a master's degree in design studies with a concentration in real estate from Harvard, and she recruits software engineers, and she ran for governor. Like, none of these things connect or make any sense, but she does them all. This is the woman for you. I am telling you, man.
It is. And the perfect way to know this is I used to pretend that I went to Harvard. I found this Harvard t-shirt.
That's extraordinarily strange.
It was accidental.
So would you just wear the t-shirt and have people assume that you went to Harvard and then just go with it?
Yeah, well, I saw
Is this like the time where you would go into like Planet Fitness and give people workout advice dressed in a t-shirt that was the same color as the staff, even though you paid to get in there?
It was Kingwood Athletic Club, but the same idea, yes. I got the t-shirt at a thrift shop and I was like, oh, cool, Harvard t-shirt. And then like chicks everywhere were like, did you go there? And I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, I think this woman is my future wife.
Yeah, I think she may very well be. I can't figure out if she's actually kind of insane or if she's just a fun, free-spirited person who saw a loophole and was like, what, why the hell not? Why wouldn't I go to the Olympics if like, seriously, what's stopping me? I can get back to tech recruiting a little later on. Right now, I've got an Olympic event to not meddle in.
Real radio.
104.1. Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So if you're just joining us, we're doing a little bit more of an in-depth study of this Elizabeth Swaney woman. She is the one, hold on, I'm following the hell out of her on Instagram. There we go.
Did you find her Instagram?
Oh yeah. It's at Liz Swaney. LizSwaney. How many followers does she have?
I need to follow her because like Instagram is the only social media that I even have. And if I'm going to marry this woman, obviously I have to like her posts. Mm-hmm. That's like step one to marrying a woman that you like is liking her Instagram post. And then maybe eventually we'll become Instagram official. Is there such thing? I know there's Facebook official. Liz Swaney. I
don't think I've ever fully understood the expression cute as a button until I looked at pictures of young Liz Swaney. This is the woman for you.
Oh, God. I love her. I haven't even found her yet.
All right. So do we think she's just having a lighthearted goof or is she seriously delusional? Like, because
I'm fine with both. I mean, I think she's goofing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't even know that I consider it goofing. Do you know how many people it is their, well, probably not that many, but do you know how many people it is their one goal in life to compete in the Olympics?
Well, this is sort of what she says. Listen to her statement. She posted this when she made Team Hungary. I was born during the Summer Olympics and kept a life of skating, rowing, skeleton Olympic dreams before learning to ski 8 years ago. Skiing became a new world for me. Over 7 years, I have taught a few hundred people to ski while trying to give others the same opportunity I had. Over the past 6, I have also been fortunate to be coached by the most amazing freestyle ski training team. In February, I will be among the 24 women and 27 men around the world that will compete in ski halfpipe in South Korea. Congrats to my fellow freestyle competitors as well as friends in other sports. It's been a long road for many of us. While I am thrilled, honored, and humbled at the same time, my heart breaks for those athletes who tried so hard, sacrificed a lot over 4, 8, 10, 20 plus years, etc., and were in so many cases so close, but ultimately won't be on this Olympic roster. I've been there before. There's so many amazing athletes in this position. And this is where it sounds a scotch delusional. You know what I mean? Because it's just... Not only that, it gets even more out there. This is not the first time she's done this or the first discipline. I'm looking at video now of her competing in the skeleton at Lake Placid for Team Venezuela.
This is pretty smart.
Yeah.
This is a smart woman. She knows exactly what to do to be able to make this dream happen. This is the woman that's smarter than I am that I've been looking for my whole life.
It's just like an onion. Peel back a layer. Boom. There's another one.
Oh my God. I just found her on Instagram. She is hot.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, the expression cute as a button, I've never fully understood it until seeing her.
No, I don't like that. So
no, you don't like that?
No, I hate that saying. I hate that saying. Is it creepy? Okay, tell me, like, will she just notice me if I do this, or is it creepy? Is it creepy if I go through all of her pictures and like them, or is that like stalker?
You know what? Okay, so...
Or is she going to be like, oh my God, this guy's so sweet. He took all this time to go through all my pictures and he liked every single one of them. Is that what she would do? Or would she be like, oh my God, stage 5 clinger?
I don't know what you do right now. Because like right now we're talking about her. She's been in the news. She's been in the news for gaming the system. Like she's been in the news for being hilarious. Like she's having her 15 minutes right now. So right now there's a bazillion people probably doing exactly what you talked about.
Okay, so I need to wait for it to die down.
If I wasn't what you'd call quote unquote a public figure, if I was just someone who, you know, like I have to worry if people think I'm weird, you know, like I don't want a complaint message sent to my boss. But back in the day, I think this to myself all the time. If I was just going to mess with people on Instagram, you know how, when someone likes an older picture, you're like, well, they're a stalker because, you know, that's not something that showed up in their news feed. They went to my thing and like scrolled down and went back. What I would do if I just to mess with people, if this couldn't, you know, jeopardize my career, kind of, note the sarcastic air quotes around the word career. But what I would do is go to people's Instagram pages, go back to their very first picture and like them and leave a comment.
That's seriously what I do. Like most of my Instagram is like, we've talked about it. It's like raccoons and squirrels and like capybaras and stuff like that. Like they're obviously I'm not going to stalk a capybara. You know, I'm not going to go back because I know it's usually his human that's seeing it. It's not, he's not going to be like, oh dude, check this out. This guy went through, you know, and liked my first post. It's a capybara. It's an animal, you know, but if like humans like that I know add me, like I'll go through their Instagram and I will go through and literally like every single picture that they've done. And like the first few times, you know, they'll be like, oh, that's nice. They'll send me a message and they're like, that's hilarious. You liked a few of my pictures. And then like the next day they're like, okay, wow, that's pretty crazy. You liked every single one of them.
All right. Your job as producer of this show, your job is to try and get us an interview with her. And I'm going to go out on a limb and guess she'd be cool with it. Like she's probably partying up a storm right now at the Olympics. But when she gets back, she's going to be doing all sorts of press. And I think that we should be one of the stops that she makes. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say you should slide into her DMs on Instagram.
This is good.
Yeah, I think you should attempt to meet her, know her, get her on the show, and potentially marry her because I got to tell you, everything I've read about this woman, she's like the female you. You know, like life is one long piece of performance art. Clearly very, very intelligent the way you are. Clearly doesn't take life in an overly serious manner. And then, you know, but also really, really goes for the things that she wants. Yeah. I think this might be the one, my friend. I think this might be the one. Money making, skills on the mic, keep me paid every day, and for part of the battle, just bow down, better act like you know. Come on.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, bring this on. Come on.
So because you and I tackle big and important issues around here, I thought a little later on in the show, hey, it's been a heavy couple of weeks, and I think occasionally we need to mentally have a snack, eat dessert, have a sweet treat that is essentially empty calories but leaves us feeling satisfied in the moment. That's the kind of radio I'm in the mood for after some of the events of the past couple of weeks. So I thought it would be fun to talk about the 10 sexiest accents in the world. Where do you think America ranks on that list, Travis, if you had to guess?
You know, it's weird because I don't know too many Americans who think that Americans have sexy accents, but it's so strange because you occasionally come across like Australians who are like, oh, I love American accents. And you're like, really? You do? I bet we're number 10.
Oh. As a guy that spent his teenage formative years, you know, where you're trying to figure out what it is that will make girls want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I noticed that when I was in America, I had a little bit of an English accent and girls went, oh, are you from, where are you from? Where are you from? Yeah.
Did you really? Because that's one of the things I've noticed about you is that, in my opinion, you don't have any.
Not even a little bit. No, when I speak to other English people, when I speak to my English relatives, it totally comes out. And when I speak to other English people, like there's this guy in the engineering department, Tony, that I talk to all the time. He's Irish, but he lived in London. And when I see him in the hallway, all right, mate. You know, like that's just what we say to each other. And I don't even think about it. I'll lapse into an English accent. But when I first started in radio, Travis, when I got my first jobs in radio, you were there. You coached me through my first ever day on the air. I had a program director, not someone that you worked with, but a program director that said to me, you kind of have this Anglo-American thing going on. I was like, yeah, well, I'm American and English and sort of spent equal time or more time in England, but you know, like, yeah, sure, I've got an Anglo-American thing happening. And they were like, people might think you're Canadian and we can't have that. So pick an accent and stick with it. Yeah.
That is hilarious. People might think you're Canadian.
So I never really had people, and we can't have that, eh? And I never really had a full English accent. So it was easier to kind of weed out the English than it was to weed out the American.
Yeah.
So I just went American. But like when I speak to other English people, and even when I start thinking about it, when I read emails from my English friends, I'll do it in an English accent. It's a really weird thing in my mind. Anyways. But as a boy, you know, when you're 12, 13, 14 years old, trying to figure out what it is that's going to make a girl actually want to talk to you, I worked out that when I was in America and my hint of an English accent would come out, girls would be like, where are you from? What's that accent? I was like, oh, this.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
I live in London, mate. Yeah, it's all right. How are you? Where are you from? Atlanta. You know, like all of a sudden I would become the Geico Gecko. And like,
oh, well, it's so funny because I remember at one point you and I were talking about accents, and I don't remember if it was like a pet peeve of yours or something, but you actually mentioned the gecko and how the accent was all wrong. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, there was two different versions of the gecko. One was a well-spoken, well, not well-spoken, but just sort of like a normal, and they had a Cockney gecko, and then they had a gecko that wasn't Cockney, that was more sort of like a Southern English accent. And to switch back and forth between Cockney and that, one is sort of more well-spoken. The other, I was like, it's inconsistent. That's what bothered me about it. But they've gone all sort of like London-esque accent. You know, they got rid of the Cockney thing, and I didn't mind. They just needed to pick one and stick with it. But I was like, you don't flip-flop back and forth between those two things. It's not a thing. Yeah. Anyways,
that's so funny.
But so conversely, I noticed when I was in England, like girls would be, I say, where are you from then? I'd be like, oh, what are you talking about?
No,
I don't know, but I'm going to throw baseball and listen to Creedence Clearwater Revival. You want to come with me? You like this, like, and so like I realized that the sexiest accent is that which the people around you are not. Like whatever sounds a little bit more exotic is kind of the way to go. But we'll discuss what the 10 sexiest accents are in the world and where America figures in on that list a little later on the show, because as I said, we discuss big and important issues around here. Speaking of big and important issues, the Canadians, as we talked about during the beginning of the show, the Canadian government recently issued an official statement saying that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is not the love child of Fidel Castro. How on earth does something like this become necessary, I hear you ask? I'm glad you asked. The Associated Press said that Cuba has never claimed it, and Trudeau's parents never visited Cuba until several years after Justin Trudeau was born. This is the deal. Snopes pointed out, Snopes being this myth debunking website, in case you're not familiar with it, Snopes pointed out that Trudeau was almost certainly conceived between March 16th and April 22nd in 1971. The site established that Castro was in Cuba throughout that period, and Margaret Trudeau, Justin Trudeau's mother, wasn't. So this was the rumor that was floating around, that Justin Trudeau was the love child of Fidel Castro because his mom had spent some time in Cuba. Trudeau was born December 25th, Christmas Day, 1971. His father is the late Pierre Trudeau, who became Prime Minister of Canada nearly 4 years before his son's birth. The rumor appears to have been started in 2016, 2 days after Castro's death, when a Reddit user suggested that Justin Trudeau resembled Castro and stated that Margaret Trudeau had met Castro in 1971. At the time of the social media post, Trudeau was being heavily criticized for praising Castro in the wake of the communist tyrant's death. Pierre Trudeau and Castro had a friendship in the 70s and the 80s, and Pierre and Margaret, his parents, visited Cuba in 76. Margaret, are you following this? Am I making sense here, Travis?
There's I wish I had a diagram.
Yeah, a timeline.
But yeah, I mean, it's making sense.
So Margaret Trudeau, nearly 3 decades younger than her husband, made tabloid headlines in the 70s for dancing the nights away at New York discos like Studio 54, while her husband was busy with affairs of state in Ottawa. And she kind of infamously had dalliances with people like Ryan O'Neal and Jack Nicholson. She was sort of Vanity Fair called her the Holly Golightly of the Mounties. And so
my mom.
because there was this idea that perhaps she got around and had been buddy with Castro back in the day. Justin Trudeau bears a resemblance to Castro there. Anyways, the Canadian government issued an official statement saying that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is not the love child of Fidel Castro. I guess it's sort of like the Canadian version of a birther scandal. Is that, like where everybody was calling into question where Obama was actually born? Like the guy I think who got the most mileage out of it was current President Donald J. Trump, who was like, let's see your birth certificate, Mr. President. So I guess that's the Canuck version.
You know what it kind of reminds me of, to be quite honest with you?
What's that?
It kind of reminds me of when Ted Cruz came out and made the announcement that he was not the Zodiac Killer.
Where was Cruz born again? Canada, right?
Yeah, Canada. Yeah,
he was born in Canada. Like, do you remember that episode of King of the Hill where Hank Hill finds out he wasn't born in Texas? And I think he was born in Canada or he was born in New York, but he's like, oh, I'm a New Yorker. You remember that episode?
You know what? I never watched the show, don't chastise me. I know, because I know it was absolute genius. And I've seen an episode or two. I don't know. It really wasn't my style, although, which is ironic being from Texas, but, I don't know what it was about it. Well, maybe it's not
funny to you because it's too close to... Yeah, it's so funny because I used to think it was hilarious before I lived in Texas. Then I moved to Texas. I was like, oh, a lot of this is not that far removed from real life. You know what I mean? It's like when I'd grown up in England, but I'm from New York City. And then, like when I moved back to New York City as an adult, I remember living there going... It's a lot like an episode of Friends and Seinfeld. Like, I remember being in my friend's apartment and they're like, oh, look, the naked guy across the street is getting dressed. I was like, you have an ugly naked guy. They're like, no, this one's actually pretty good looking. I was like, nevertheless, you watch a naked guy across the street because that's what people do in New York. It's exactly like Friends. TV is real life. TV is like real life. This is my stunning realization. And when I moved to Texas, I was like, this is like even the way the houses looked, you know what I mean? The way the alley was set up where they hung out, like it was so similar to real life. I was like, maybe this is why people in Texas don't necessarily, it's not that they're offended by it, but it's just not funny to them because it's so much of it is like real life.
Yeah, I'm like, why am I supposed to be laughing about this? I experienced it earlier today, I didn't really find it funny then either. It's not that it wasn't funny, it was just that was the things that happened that day. I think you may be onto something here. You know
who really, really rang true to me was, and I didn't get this until I moved to Texas, and I think this is one of the most wonderful things about Texas. It's the kind of like, I don't know what you would call it, free thinking. I don't know what you call it, but like his neighbor, the bug guy, the pesticide dude, Dale Gribble, who's also like a crazy conspiracy theorist. Like, I'll be on the internet exploring strange phenomena if you need anything. That's so many people that I only met when I moved to Texas. And every state has their own version of that. But like the Dale Gribble guy, I was like, I met 5 of him in my first week in Houston. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but like that is based on a certain archetype that I've only encountered in Texas, like the Texan conspiracy theorist. This is a thing, right?
Oh God, yes. Oh God, absolutely.
Alex Jones is basically Dale Gribble with a radio show.
Well, it's so funny because the engineer on our boat and I were just talking, literally on the tugboat, we're talking about conspiracy theorists and stuff, and he said something. He goes, "Hey, do you think there's anything about like this or that?" And I was like, there very well could be. He goes, I mean, I don't want to sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist. And I said, well, it does sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist. I'm like, but these days, I mean, seriously, it's not all that crazy to think about. And he's like, yeah, I know, that's what I'm thinking too. And I thought, oh God, I'm a conspiracy theorist.
I don't care how low the production quality is. I don't care how little research has gone into these documentaries. You watch enough of that stuff on Netflix on a Sunday afternoon when you kind of can let your mind wander.
Yes.
And you start to go, maybe... maybe. I mean, we were in carts and buggies for a long time, and then all of a sudden we're on the moon not long after Area 51. Maybe we did trade alien tech.
Bro, I told him, and I always say this, I told him, I said, you know what, dude? I said, you can sit there and think that you need to try and justify your conspiracy theory to me because you think that, it sounds crazy. I said, but had you told me in 2001 that the government could watch us through our TVs and that they could listen to our cell phones and activate the microphones on our cell phones even when the battery was out, I said, I would have told you that you're absolutely insane. I said, then come 2009, 2010, 2011, we find out it's all true. It really is true. I said, now who's the idiot? I said, so, when I look at stuff like that, do I think you're crazy? Maybe for half a second. And then I think to myself, hang on, what is it that we found out that they actually have the ability to do and none of us would have ever believed it? I said, yeah, I don't think you're crazy. I really don't.
Well, I mean, also, the idea, like back in the day, there used to be this idea, and this is in our lifetime. Back in the day, there was this idea that your privacy was important and you should protect it and people shouldn't know stuff about you. And
yes.
It was just common sense to protect your privacy and not invite strangers unwittingly into your home. And, let them go through your garbage and figure out what the contents of your life were. It was just viewed as a safe practice not to have your information public. Private information shouldn't be public. That's why people wanted an unlisted number.
Oh, God, yeah.
Now we invite that into our home with a smart speaker, our Google, our Amazon, our Alexa, all of the above, and go, my phone knows where I go, how much money I spend on everything, the amount my commute takes. Like, have you seen that Google Maps feature? Not Google Maps, but like the Google. So I don't know what it's called. I switched it off because I was like, this is one step too far for me. There was like, would you like to see your movements over the past month? I was like, no, and I don't want anybody else seeing this. And it had tracked like my commute. Like, here you are. Occasionally you shoot off over here. Occasionally you go down here. This is how many miles you tend to travel every single day. And it's an interesting way of, looking at your life and where you go and economizing and thinking about gas and all that stuff. But I don't need Google, and I'm sure they get it somewhere else. I know they get it somewhere else. And me turning off Google location services on my phone was, not nearly enough to stop this. But I just don't need them knowing everything. Yet we invite that into our homes every day.
Sometimes you just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away. Radio 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Of all the conspiracy theories, which one do you think you're most apt to believe?
Ooh, that's tough. That is... that's really tough.
Do you believe that we traded alien tech with the aliens that crash landed at Area 51? Is that how we managed to go from carts and buggies to moon landing so quickly?
Yeah, I would believe that. I mean, it's hard to say if we traded tech. I don't think that they willingly gave it to us, but not to sound crazy, I do believe aliens have been here. I think aliens are probably still here.
Oh, really? You think they walk among us?
I don't...
He said, not doing a very good job at stifling his laughter. You think they've been here and they are here?
I do. I mean, It's hard to say, man. I don't know that they walk among us, but I guess you're right. I don't really know that they're still here, but I think that they come and go.
I think that in the entirety of everything, the known and unknown universe, in the vastness that is infinite space, I think the idea that we are the only living things in all of it, like that to me, I look at with a certain amount of incredulity. I feel like there has to be some form of life somewhere else, maybe nowhere near us. And I don't necessarily believe we've made contact, but I do think that it's extraordinarily unlikely that in all of the entirety of everything, nothing else is alive, and we're the only planet that has life on it or has ever had life on it. Like that to me is
of course.
You know, I mean, so I don't necessarily believe aliens have made contact or walk among us, but you know, I think that I think there's a very strong possibility that there's something else out there somewhere. And people laugh and scoff and mock at me. People laugh and scoff. People make fun of me when I float this one out there. The one thing, and look, this is not based on any serious research, and I could very easily be wrong, and it's not. It's just one of the few conspiracy theories that I give any credence to. I'm not entirely sure we've been to the moon. There, I said it.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a friend who is very, very, very intelligent, and I haven't talked to him about it since probably for 15 years. Okay, but he's a millionaire. He's very, very smart, computer genius, and probably about 10, 15 years ago when we discussed it, he did not believe. Like, he was absolutely denier. It swore to me that we had never been to the moon. So, you know, I think we have been to the moon. I really do. I think the evidence is kind of too out there to say that we have, but maybe I'm wrong.
Let me clarify before you start having me fitted for a tinfoil hat. I think it's entirely possible we could have been, that we went to the moon. I would not be surprised if that turned out to be the truth. But out of all the conspiracy theories, the moon landing being a hoax is like, and I base it on something that is completely unscientific and not informed, and there's no research that comes into this whatsoever. But I have a hard time making a cell phone call in the year 2018. You're telling me that in 1969 we could get crystal clear live audio and video from the moon?
Well, I will tell you this. Ham radio operators bounce signals off the moon all the time.
Okay, maybe you just completely blown my theory, but nevertheless, I just like they're in well, and also, okay, I think there's possibility, but I also think there's motive. It was a tremendously political thing, you know. Like,
this is true.
Look at the enormous boost that America got. Not only from Americans felt so proud when we went to the moon. From what I understand, it was a big, big deal. You were proud to be an American, and the rest of the world turned and looked at America and thought anything was possible, and America was leading the way. If you don't think that there was every motivation in the world for America to be the ones that won the space race, you know, in this day and age when we were talking about serious sort of conflict between, you know, at the height of the Cold War, you know, like when we're not that far off from events like the Cuban Missile Crisis, like this is a day and age where American exceptionalism had to be a reality, not only for America, but for the rest of the world to see. So much depended on it. So there was every motive possible for faking the moon landing. I believe this. So I don't think we didn't go to the moon, but if I found out the whole thing had been faked, I would be like, I always sort of thought so.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, at this point, I don't put anything past the government. That's why I'm kind of like, you know, on the edge about most conspiracy theories. Like, do I truly believe that, you know, aliens are among us? Well, not really, but I mean, in the same sense, it wouldn't surprise me. I do think that we've had contact, but, you know, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I think if we'd made contact with aliens and didn't know about it, that would be a big deal. Like the faking a moon landing, we allowed you to believe something that, you know, gave everybody hope. That was inspiring. The idea that there's life out there and our government is in contact with it, with us and not telling it, I think that's a huge deal. Like, I think if they went, we lied about the moon landing, people would go like, yep, yeah. figures. If people went, we lied about aliens and we've actually been sort of like hanging out, playing poker, trading tech with them for a really, really long time, people would lose their ever-loving minds. I think that would be a big deal. Hey, this used to be a serious kind of news program, didn't it? At some point, like we talked about reality as opposed to escaping off into space, whether it be for a phony moon landing or a tech deal with Martians. So, yeah. Should we do some news?
Yes, sir. Let's do some news.
All right, sir.
Stormy Daniels says she's ready to reveal everything about her affair with Donald Trump.
Yeah, there was some sort of thing where she felt like Jimmy Kimmel got it out of her that she'd signed some sort of NDA. And then she felt like there was culpable deniability if she went public with her information because somebody else had already spilled the beans that she was forbidden from spilling or something like that. But now she says she's ready to reveal everything about her affair with Donald Trump. So there you go. If you're looking for a graphic depiction of sex with Donald J. Trump, what the hell is wrong with you? Go on.
A Revolutionary War reenactment was canceled by a California town due to gun laws.
To gun laws?
Gun laws.
Well, I mean, if it's canceled by a California town, I would imagine, more importantly, it was canceled because the historically accurate food rations would have contained gluten.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So, because we tackle big and important issues on this show today, and look, it's been a heavy couple weeks of news, and I'm sure we'll continue to deal with all of it as it unfolds. But I think today is a day where you, me, all of us could use a little bit of mental chewing gum and a chance to unwind and a chance to maybe have some fun, some media dessert, if you will. So we've talked about how the Canadian government has released an official statement saying that their prime minister is not the love child of Fidel Castro. We've also talked a little bit about conspiracy theories and whether or not we went to the moon. And we'll round out the show today by talking about the 10 sexiest accents in the world. Travis thinks the American accent is in at number 8. And we'll get to exactly where the American accent is and which accent you find to be the most likely to get your midsection singing Sweet Virginia a little later on in the show. Right now, though, what else is going on in the news?
We kind of hit on this yesterday. KFC has a chicken shortage in the United Kingdom.
Right, and they had to close 600 restaurants. That's a huge chunk out of their business. That's no joke. And you said it was not so much a chicken shortage, but a chicken distribution problem. Like they were having problems getting the chickens to yeah. Over here in America, KFC has a shortage of old celebrities willing to play the Colonel. I thought it was so cool when they got Norm Macdonald to play Colonel Sanders, and then they got somebody else. And I was like, no, it should just be Norm Macdonald all the time. Like everyone was like, have you seen Norm Macdonald's Colonel Sanders? It's the greatest thing ever. And then they stopped using... Who was the most recent one? They got Reba McEntire to do it. Who else?
I did not see Reba. There was another dude from Saturday Night Live. Can't remember the name of the guy.
It all just pales in comparison to Norm Macdonald. I love Norm. Oh, yeah. Thing about prison is okay, never mind. I do a lousy Norm Macdonald. Go on.
Police in India... It's very similar to India. Police in Indiana are looking for a woman who threw feces at a security guard after he spotted her shoplifting in a hardware store. There was a lot to get through in that one. That was challenging. Yeah. That was really
Indiana. I guess this woman was shopping at Menards. You ever been into Menards?
No, but I hate the name so much that I have no reason to hate the store, but it sounds like because it sounds like the word nards. I I can't stand it.
To people that live in a part of the world where they have Menards, I think the ongoing gag is, like, I got to go pick some stuff up at my Menards. Like, it's just, how could it not be? But yeah, a woman was shopping at a Menards hardware store in Indianapolis last week. A security guard spotted her shoplifting a video camera, so he called the cops, and then he went up to the woman to keep her in the store until they showed up, and he didn't realize that she had countermeasures ready. Yeah, according to the police report, she, quote, reached behind her and dug into her pants and threw it, and you know what it is, at the guard, striking him in the chest. So while he was dealing with the shock and the horror of that, she ran out of the store. Cops are reviewing the security footage and trying to track her down. So now on the FBI's most wanted list, she's number 2. That was cheap. I'm sorry.
That was filthy. All right. Chickens prefer attractive humans to less attractive ones.
Gonna get fat shamed by a chicken.
That's pretty sad.
I'm hanging out with your friend that does more sit-ups and cardio. Yeah, well, I'm gonna eat you. How about that?
Ultimate revenge.
I would imagine their absolute favorites are attractive vegetarian humans.
Chipotle may soon add quinoa to its menu.
Do you eat quinoa?
No, it's funny though. I was at Walmart and I walked by their little deli section, and I'm not gonna lie to you. There was a time in my life where I was a pretty big sucker for a Walmart cheese stick, and so I was like, oh, mozzarella sticks, and I'm looking at, I see this very interesting looking salad, and I asked the woman, I said, you know what, give me some of that. And she said, have you had it? And I said, no. Why? And she said, it's quinoa. I said, oh, okay.
Just quinoa and Walmart are not, like, you just don't usually put those two words in the same sentence together. Like quinoa and kale, quinoa and Santa Monica, quinoa and Walmart. Oh.
She said, you might want to sample first. And I said, oh, is it not good? And she said, no, it's good. But if you don't like quinoa, you're not going to like it. She said, so before I sell you a whole bunch of this, you might want to try it. And I did try it. And I stuck with the cheese sticks.
Right. I like quinoa is one of those things that tastes like what the hell you put in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny. I was doing, I was endorsing Frank's Red Hot a little while ago, which was not a stretch for me at all. I always have like a couple giant bottles of that stuff in the fridge, and been trying to eat a little bit healthier. And my advertising campaign for Frank's Red Hot was like, since the new year, I've been trying to eat a little healthier. Sadly, you know what broccoli and quinoa taste like? That's right, it tastes like broccoli and quinoa. However, broccoli and quinoa with Frank's Red Hot on it, freaking delicious. And it really is. Quinoa just sort of is a grain that tastes like what the hell you put on it or you cook with it. Like, it's not sort of a neutral. It kind of reminds me of couscous. I think part of the reason why quinoa is... Yeah, couscous is delicious. So I don't understand how you could like couscous and not like quinoa, but it's what you sort of season it with, I think. Because like I said, quinoa by itself, not yummy. Quinoa with Frank's Red Hot on it, or quinoa with whatever the hell it is you want to put on it, it's good. Like, it's... But I think, like, part of the reason the quinoa fad is what it is because quinoa is a grain or whatever it is that it contains protein. So it's like a carb, but it's got protein in it. Like, it's there's more sort of nutritional value for you in it. So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah, who's serving it up now?
Possibly Chipotle.
Oh, good, because, you know, Chipotle customers need more menu choices that are going to give them...
Oh, don't. Don't do it. Please, Hammer, don't hurt him. Don't do it.
I guess we already had the one story about the woman throwing this stuff, so yeah, we can move on.
Scientists have created a human-sheep hybrid.
I read about this, and
it's crazy.
Immediately thought of the episode of Seinfeld with the pig man.
I did too. I did too.
Yeah.
I did too.
What is the point of a human-sheep hybrid? Why would isn't it sort of like to help grow organs for transplants? It's not some sort of like bizarre trying to create a new species thing. It's
no.
Yeah. Playing God? What do you think? Is this
there's
morally and ethically reprehensible, and are the scientists who are doing this going to hell, or is this just an opportunity to have people with organs that didn't have organs before and therefore live a longer and happier life?
There's two very, very interesting arguments for it. One is that they're going to hell because they're playing God. Two is that God gave them the intelligence to do this to be able to help humans. So, I'm thinking that if you're one of the people that was going to die and you get a human sheep organ that saves your life, you're probably a pretty big fan of it.
Yeah, I would imagine so. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it is.
As we say many times on this show, can't open, worms everywhere. Go on.
EPA Chief Scott Pruitt says people curse at him on flights. Yeah.
I got to tell you, I'm not surprised.
No. It kind of came with the position,
Yeah, chief of Donald Trump's Environmental Protection Agency.
Yeah.
Still, I can't imagine he likes being cursed at on planes. He thinks that kind of filth doesn't belong on an airline. It belongs in rivers, streams, and in drinking water. Specifically in the drinking water of Flint, Michigan. Go on.
Should we talk about the thing?
Oh, the sexiest accents?
Yeah.
All right, so you think you've always wondered what foreigners think an American accent is. Okay, Texas. Like, whenever I would go, I'm an American that grew up in England, and whenever people do an impersonation of me, they'd adopt a Southern accent. I was like, I'm from New York.
Really?
Yeah, it was always Southern, they'd be like, well, we sure think this about this, don't we? Whenever I said I have an opinion about something, I'm like, shut up. I'm not from the Northeast. But it was always a Southern accent. And that's what people think of when they think of America. It's Texas, Deep South, Midwest, New England, Valley Girl, or is it just a blend of everything? I think it's Texas. Whatever it is, a decent portion of people think it's sexy. New global survey by the folks over at Time Out magazine asked people to name the sexiest accent in the world, and American came in. Where do you suppose, Travis? You guessed 10?
I thought between 8 and 10. I think it's not high up on the list.
It was in at number 8. The same survey, though, a few years ago found that we had the second sexiest accent. So I guess we're slipping. Our reputation on a global stage has not been a strong one over the last couple of years. I could see why people would be, that makes sense. In at number 10, Japanese. Number 9, Brazilian. I don't even know what a Brazilian accent sounds like. I think of it as
sounds like Portuguese.
Well, it's an accent. It's an accent by. It's the accent of a woman with a big butt. And, I cannot lie. I like those. Australian in at number 7. I could see that. Australians have a certain devil-may-care quality about them that I think that the world would generally find to be appealing. Scottish at number 6. Spanish at number 5. Irish at number 9. Italian at number 11. French at number 2. Who do you suppose is in at number 1, Travis?
I don't know.
That would leave the English. Yes, my countrymen. I say, drop your knickers, love.
Oh, interesting.
Would you care to be bent over my knee? There's something about the English accent where you can say the filthiest things and it sounds refined to the rest of the world.
That's very true.
I say, would you care to get your gums around this?
Oh my God. Me and a buddy always had this joke that if you're going to apologize, you want to apologize with a French accent because it makes it seem so much more serious if you're not really sorry. So we always be like, I'm so sorry, because,
it's a terrible French accent.
You know what? Shut up. Okay, I'm not French.
I'm so sorry.
I speak really bad pretend
so sorry.
French. Shut up. Okay. I think you understand what I'm saying here.
But the French accent thing, the French stereotype is I'm terribly sorry you made such an horrible mistake on a stupid human being. My deepest apologies for your idiocy. That's
you have a
French
much better French accent than I do.
Well, I did grow up right next to the French. You swim across the channel when you're in England and there they are. Not really being very sorry for too many things.
Yeah, they're not sorry.
My deepest apologies to your mother, who I had my way with earlier today, twice. On. My deepest apologies to the French. You're not really like that. I've been to France many times. You're lovely people. They love Americans in France. Oh, Americain, fantastique. But if they think you're English, you're like, stupid lamies. Like you know nothing about anything. Oh my Lord, you are so stupid. Oh, Americain, fantastique. I love your rock music and your pretty girls. That's actually what it's like over there. A French guy once said that to me. I love your rock music and your pretty girls. Now it's, what is up with that president of yours?